Hey friends, thanks for joining me today. I want to show you how I went ahead and made out of scrap a disc golf basket. All right, friends, so the first thing I needed to do was get the diameters of the rings that I'm going to need. So I went ahead and laid out the diameters, and then after I have my diameters, I'm going to need to know what my angles are, because I don't have an easy way to bend any metal into a perfect circle, but I could make a shape that has 16 sides that looks very similar to a circle and functions essentially the same way. So what I have to do is find the center of my circle, then I have to find the radius of these circles and make it, I have to break it up into how many pieces I'm going to have. So I decided to go with 16 on this size of the circle. And so with my two different diameters, my top diameter was 22 inches. My net diameter, or my basket, my lower basket diameter was 24 inches. So I can break those up and make the lines across so that I have different angles that I can find. Now, if we remember our geometry, all the angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. So if I can find one angle, I can get the other two, because the other two should be exactly the same. So I have an angle of 22 and a half in the middle, which means I have two angles that are 78.75, which means my total included angle is 157 and a half, where two pieces of metal would come together. So I made a jig, because I didn't figure I could get very lucky and make all the angles the same by just eyeballing it. So I made a jig so I could have all the pieces come together, and I could put them against that jig, and then I could weld them. So then I went ahead and did a lot of welding to make the rings of the top ring and the basket. So I forgot to record the making of the bottom basket, but it was just rebar and some angle. So now that that's done, the top's done. Now I'm going to take the chain off of this basket I made just to see if it would work. It's a little bit small, so I'm gonna take the chains off of that, weld them to the top, and then we'll get a system to where this thing comes apart and it's not so heavy to carry around. And we will kind of explore some ideas and go with the best one. So my first thought was I would make this in multiple pieces so it could just be bolted together and not be so heavy to carry around. And so that's what I started to do. I drilled a hole in the pipe, I drilled a hole in this square tube, and I had a bolt. I cut some washers, some big washers, so that they would fit square. But when I put it all together, I just didn't like it. Now this is the base. I wanted to have a way that I could fasten the base just to itself, and then the top, the post, would go down into the base and they could be carried separately. So my initial thought was to carry 3 pieces, but it just didn't work out well. It wasn't very stable. The basket wasn't on there good, and so I scrapped that idea and welded it all together. Well, here she is, friends. It is regulation height with regulation top and basket diameter and regulation chains. But the one thing it is not is it is not light. This thing is heavy. So, but it was made with the stuff that I had on hand. I had these chains in my barn, cut those up. So I wanted to make it in 3 parts so it could be easily carried to a spot, but I ended up, the basket was too wobbly, not stationary and not level. So I ended up welding it to the post also. It does come apart from, the base comes apart from the post, so it can be carried without the base in case we wanted to make it permanent somewhere with it sticking into a post in the ground. But we will try it out and see how it works. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33.